Good morning and welcome everybody to the Property Subcommittee of the Strategic Policy and Resources Committee. Today is Monday the 26th of October, it's 9:30 and I'm standing in for Councillor Lyle, who unfortunately can't be with us today. So welcome everybody and thank you for your attendance. So talking of people who can't make it and apologies, can I ask if there are any more apologies or substitutes for today's meeting?
Yes, Councillor, while you're substituting as chair for Councillor Lyle, Councillor Ahern is filling the position, and if Councillor McEwen is able to join us, he would be filling the vacant position on the committee. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So, current committee, can I ask if there are any declarations of interest for the business that is in front of us today? I will accept a DI in the meeting chat box if you have one, but if there's nothing that comes up, we'll just take it that there's no declarations of interest. No, that's lovely. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, so that brings us on to the minutes. We've got a couple of minutes of previous meetings in front of us, so I'll go through them separately, and again we'll take silence as agreement, but if anybody has any issues, if they could put that into the meeting chat, then we'll come to you and you can advise us of what the concerns are. So if we take the minutes of the meeting of the Property Subcommittee of the 21st of October 2019, they're here for approval.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you. Nothing in the chat, so that's fine. Minutes for the special meeting of the Property Subcommittee of the 18th of February 2020, again for approval. Again, nothing's coming forward. And the minutes of the special meeting for the Property Subcommittee of the 24th of August 2020 for approval. Okay, Councillor Lane, you have a comment.
Yeah, it's just I managed to get hold of Councillor McEwen. He says he hasn't got a link or anything through, Charlotte.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
So you could maybe get somebody to send it to him, the link.
Yeah. Charlotte,
Yes.
is it possible to send
Yes,
another
he's
email?
on the list, but we'll see about adding him in. Audrey, are you able to do that or will I?
I have tried calling him, but as I say, he is showing us offline, and when he's showing us offline, it will not ring at his end. Now that the meeting has officially gone live, we're unable to send out links to join. The only way would be for him to answer me asking him to join.
Okay, if I could ask then, if Audrey, if you could try again. I mean, obviously, if he's offline, you won't ring, it won't do anything. But and if you are still in contact with him, Councillor Lane, could you possibly just ask him to switch his Teams on? That will then make him available. The light will go from red to green on his, and then that way Audrey will be able to get access to him to make that phone call.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. And if everybody's okay with that going on in the background, we'll still continue with the process of today's meeting. So that's the item 3 done of the minutes. That's the minutes, sorry, of the agenda. The minutes of the previous meetings are all agreed. Thank you very much indeed. And that takes us on to item number 4, which is the School Estate Programme. And this is a progress update. I don't actually know who's speaking to that, sorry. So is there anyone speaking to that particular paper?
Yes, Kavina. Greg.
Hi, Greg. Yep.
Well, what I intend to do is just to run through some of the highlights within the main body of the report, and then what we normally do is go into the appendices, and then I'll highlight anything within there that I haven't highlighted earlier, and then take any questions on the specific parts of the appendix from any councillors.
No, that's lovely, Greg. Thank you very much indeed. If you wouldn't mind doing that. My apologies, I wasn't sure who was speaking to the report, but thank you very much. I will put it over to you now. Thank you.
Thank you, Kavina. So obviously this is the update to the Property Subcommittee. Obviously due to the lockdown, it's the last update was last year, October. So it has been a long time since the Property Sub has had an update, but hopefully can bring you up to speed today. So obviously during the last 6 months, as we all appreciate, the lockdown situation has been challenging, not only for us all, but obviously for the construction industry and all the projects within the school estate. Obviously a number of staff, whether it was contractors, which were furloughed, as well as our own staff were retasked with various things, has obviously put a lot of pressure on the timelines, which we don't really know the full impact of that at this point. So timelines and final costs will obviously a lot of uncertainty regarding that. and obviously our internal property colleagues have had to spend a lot of time focusing on ensuring our schools were ready and fit for work and dealing with things like ventilation in schools. So a lot of their work has had to be focused on getting the schools back to kind of normal business. So obviously moving on to the specific projects, Bliggar Recreational Centre. Obviously, I'm glad to make the committee aware. Obviously, at Fuel Council on the 30th of September, it was agreed the project would be proceeding on a passive house standard for energy, and the increased budget was allocated to allow the project to proceed. During lockdown, as one of the priorities for the council was that the user reference groups continued through email, and obviously on the 28th of September we also had a joint user reference group and a community council meeting to discuss where we were with the project. So the project now is moving forward, and we'll be looking to sign stage 1 prior to Christmas. Moving on to early learning and childcare, the August 2020 deadline has been relaxed by the government. We still don't have a final date for the full rollout of the ELC. I'm pleased to say that we've done a lot of good work in Perth Kinross and made good progress prior to the pandemic. So we were in a good place compared to a lot of councils with the actual full delivery. We've got a lot of projects that have been delivered. These being at Blair Athol, the City of Perth Early Childhood Centre, Cooperangus, Crieff, Glenlyon, Goodleyburn, Kirkmichael, Logarate, Murtley, Newhill and RDM. All those projects have been complete. We also completed a major works at Letham Primary School, and also opened the new nursery at St Ninians. There's 2 or 3 that were still have been impacted by the COVID pandemic. So Insture won't be ready till probably around about December of this year. Also, along with Rattery Primary School, we've done some upgrades to classrooms and some external works, but the main works there won't be on site until April of next year. Lunforgan, which is another major kind of project to the tune around about £6 million, is due to be completed later in the calendar year. So we should see that finished. I'm obviously pleased to confirm that the decant arrangements have continued at Idle Primary School, and they've been working effectively. The new school, again going back to council on the 30th of September, I'm pleased to confirm that it was agreed by council that we would proceed on the passive house energy efficiency for the new joint school of North Muirton and Balhousie Primary School on the North Muirton site. So it allows us to proceed with that project, and also it's been agreed that we've now submitted a bid to Scottish Government for funding towards the project. Perth High Schools is a bit of a similar situation. It was also agreed at council on the 3rd of September to proceed with the passive house solution for Perth High School, and also to bid to Scottish Government for funding towards the project, which I'm pleased to confirm that we submitted both these bids on the 13th of October to the government, and we hope to hear the outcomes of that prior to Christmas. So Convener, that's the main highlights of the report. So I'll move on to, I think it's page 22 of the papers today, and I will run through each project and then take a breather to allow any questions. So the first one I think we have is Bliggar Recreational Centre. So again, we just to confirm what I probably said earlier, that we are moving forward with a passive house solution. We will be continuing. I think we've got a user reference group planned for the end of November to keep the dialogue up with the Community Council and the user reference group. There's probably nothing else I want to say on that. I can see a comment is coming from Councillor Shires.
There is, yes. I was going to follow it quite strictly along the lines of if anybody wanted any questions on any particular points regarding the information that we've got, and then go on to comments. So just to say that to councillors, if you've got any questions on any specific point that Mr. Boland is coming up with, or any particular project that he's discussing, if you want to put a queue in at that point, rather than us waiting to the end and going through questions and jumping backwards and forwards, that would be very beneficial. But I will ask Councillor Shires if our comment is pertinent to this point, or is it to the paper in general?
It was to the sort of the main body of the report that was given. It was just a comment about the early learning and childcare element, and just to basically thank our officers, because I think that comment you made, Greg, about, you know, that we're in a better position than a lot of other local authorities is very pertinent, because, you know, obviously officers had really cracked on with the work that needed to be done, so it was really just to acknowledge that bit within the main body of the report, that to thank our officers for all the significant amount of work that had been done in really difficult circumstances. So that was all, Convener. Thank you.
No, thank you. Greg.
Yes, so thanks for that, Councillor Shires. Yes, and Scott Nicholl, representing Property Services, are on the call, so I think a big thanks to Scott and his team, and also Ben Scott and Sharon Johnston, obviously within Education Services. We've progressed a big programme of works through additional staffing and building works, which we've done well, so thanks for that, and I'll pass that on from you. Sorry, Fiona, just confirm, are we taking questions after each page of the appendix, or at the end? Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I asked for that, but it will be entirely driven by councillors on the call. There's nothing coming up on the meeting chat at the moment, but I just thought, instead of you going through everything and then having to go back a couple of pages to any specific point, if councillors do happen to have a question on any particular project, when that project comes up, if they put a queue into the meeting chat, then I'll call on you at that point, and then that way we're not jumping forward. Well, Councillor Shires has put the point, and she has a question on the Blair Rec. So since we're on that one, are you okay taking a question on that? Yes, okay, Councillor Shires, over to you.
Sorry, Convener. It was just, I know that it's got, you know, time TBC against the planning applications, etc. But do we have a kind of rough idea of when that might happen, and what the kind of public consultation beyond the, you know, we've obviously got the URG consultation, but there'll obviously need to be wider public involvement in the discussions around the actual plan. It was just to get a sort of indication of when that might be.
I'll answer first, and maybe ask Scott if he wants to come in regarding the planning. Obviously, we had a good meeting, I would say, Councillor Shires. I think you were there at the meeting on the 28th, and that was a meeting set up, arranged through the Community Council. So we gave that commitment through the Community Council and the user reference group to keep full dialogue. And we want this project to be a success. We want to engage, want everybody to feel involved. So I think it's going to be fundamental to keep the dialogue up, and obviously yourself as a local councillor be looking for anything to be brought forward. But we're very keen just to engage with everybody concerned to make sure everybody's involved and everybody feels part of this exciting project for Blairgowrie. Scott, could I just ask you to come in just regarding planning? Is there anything you'd like to say regarding the planning? Obviously, we're still subject to signing off the stage one and moving the project forward through its kind of formal milestones. But I don't know, Scott, if there's anything you'd like to say regarding that.
Thanks, Greg. Morning, Convener. Morning, Councillor Shires. Just before I go on, thank you, Councillor Shires, for your comments about the early learning. I'm going to feed that back to the officers that are involved in the individual projects. Thanks very much. About Blair Rec, I think we're aiming towards a meeting in the latter part of November, where we'll probably have an indicative programme then. So it's design and build, so very much comes from the design and build tier 1 contractor. So I think around about the 25th of November we should have an idea of an overall programme, and that will include things like planning submissions. And that's about as much as we can say at the moment, I think.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that. If you are passing that back, it's on my notes for later on, but I'm going to do it now. Could you add my thanks to everybody regarding the speed of the 1140 hours rollout? I think the work that was done at the beginning, it just showed many people have an opinion that council work is slow, but that, and it can be laborious. But the truth of the matter is, this was done with tremendous pace. It was done incredibly quickly. It engaged with the communities straight off the bat, and the fact that we are one of the councils that are so far ahead with this rollout that we didn't actually have to pause is actually quite phenomenal. So can you please add my thanks to officers along with Councillor Shires? That would be helpful. Thank you. Okay, Councillor Stewart, you have a question.
Thanks. It's kind of just a supplementary arising out of Mr. Boland's answer to Councillor Shires. You mentioned having met with the Community Council and we were talking about the user reference group as well. Can I check what representation there is on the user reference group, or what engagement there is with community councils other than Blairgowrie and Rattray? Obviously the Blairgowrie Recreation Centre is a resource for not just Blairgowrie but for the wider Eastern Perthshire area, from Strathtay through Blairgowrie and Rattray over into Strathmore ward. So it was just to check what wider engagement there was.
Yes, thanks, Councillor Stewart. Yeah, the engagement, we included a lot more of elected members due to that, because it is such a wide area. What I can do, I can send you the user reference group membership, which is quite large, but I can send that to you just to make sure everybody you think should be involved. But it's if there's anybody we feel that we're not touching base with, then we're definitely up for making sure that it's not the case.
I mean, I appreciate that obviously as an elected member I get the notifications about the user reference group through. It was really just to follow up and say what sort of engagement with other community councils or development trusts in the area specifically there is, just to sort of draw out that point in the questioning.
Yeah, I'm probably not getting the actual question, Councillor Stewart, but so I'm happy to have a conversation offline. That'd be easier, just to make sure everything is included and we engage, because I think there's a commitment at council at the end of September to make sure the full engagement took place, and I want to make sure that does happen.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Mr. Boland, if you want to now progress, because there's no other questions, so
yeah.
if you can go through the other projects, that would be great.
Yeah, okay, so moving on to the next one we have in the appendix is Institute Primary School, which was a new standalone nursery. It's increasing capacity by 26 spaces to the value of 1.8 million. Obviously, if it hadn't been for the pandemic, we would have had the project complete, but I'm pleased to know that the latest programme should be complete and operational for January 2021.
Okay, there's no questions coming forward on that, so that's excellent. I'm looking forward to that starting next year. So if we can move on to Lethem Primary School.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Convener. So there's some major kind of refurbishment works as part of the project. It was kind of a wider project than just the nursery. It was increasing the nursery capacity by 66, and the overall project is around about 5.7 million. I'm pleased to confirm that the works are complete and the nursery was operational in August.
Excellent, thank you. And there's no questions, so again on to the update on Longforgan. Thank you.
Yes, Longforgan is another one. It's a kind of a major kind of refurbishment of the currently B listed building to the tune of just over £6.1 million. The school's been decanted to Errol Primary School, and I think I mentioned earlier that that's been operating effectively during the decant. So thank you to both teachers and the pupils and staff for making that a success. Our latest timescales, we should be on track to have the project complete for December, which then will allow the school to return to its new refurbished school in December.
Sorry, can I just confirm, will it be, will people be coming back to the new refurbished school actually in December, or will it start at the beginning of the term?
Kavina, I can't confirm that exactly at the minute. I mean, there's dialogues with the head teacher and the staff, and exactly how we'll do the actual back the decant back into the school. So I can't confirm exactly. It potentially will be after the Christmas break, but equally potentially discussions with the head teacher based on what makes sense for the school and the staff. Will be the date. So potentially it could be January, potentially it could be just before Christmas.
No, that makes sense. Okay, thank you. And no further questions on that. So if we can move on, that'd be lovely.
Okay, thank you. So moving on to the new school for Balhousie and North Muirton at the North Muirton site. Again, we kind of highlighted earlier that will be a passive house school on the North Muirton site to the tune of 16.4 million. And as I highlighted earlier, we've put now our bid into the Scottish Government to look for support and funding towards the project. I suppose we were anticipating August 22 for the date, but obviously until we sign the stage 1 and have a new programme, that's likely now to slip, just generally due to the last 6 months.
Okay. Sorry, I was muted, chatting away, muting. Sorry, Councillor Heron, your question, please.
Thank you. Just wanted to ask if the application for funding to the Scottish Government is going to put any delay on it. Have you got to wait to get a reply back from the Scottish Government?
No, Councillor Heron, we're continuing with the project as is because Council will give us approval to proceed on that basis. We should find out hopefully prior to Christmas about our bid, whether we've been successful or not, but we're proceeding on the basis that the project's good to go, so there's no delay to do with the bid.
Thank you. There's no further questions on that, so thank you, Greg. On to what's next. Oakbank, I think that one's the next one. Yes,
so Oakbank, so the Oakbank nursery extension will increase the nursery by 38 to the value of around about 1.1 million is the project cost. Obviously, this is one that's has been impacted. We did intend to be ready for August 20, but the new nursery, extended nursery, will be ready to kick off and after the Christmas break in January.
Again, no questions are coming forward on that, so that's lovely. Thank you very much indeed. And that brings us on to the refurbishment Perth Academy.
Yes, so there's significant funding was allocated to Perth Academy to try and improve the condition and suitability. But it's obviously challenging trying to do that within a live environment. Works have been undertaken within the school. We've done fire compliance works. We've upgraded toilets and updated drainage works which were causing issues on site. We're in conversations with the school and the contractor because the next stage of the Perth Academy upgrades is to improve the social space, classroom refurbishment, and also pleased to confirm that during the even though it was during kind of the last few months, installation of CCTV and corridor lighting was replaced during the summer holidays. So generally, we're working with the school and the contractor just to firm up on the next stage of the works at Perth Academy.
Okay, thank you for that update. Councillor Stewart, you have a question?
Thank you. So I think it's a question really about both this page, Perth Academy refurbishment, and oh dear, excuse me, I've just slipped pages there. Perth Academy and Perth Grammar. So the Perth Academy, the original budget was 16.9 million, and Perth Grammar, the original budget was 7.05. And we've got phase 1 refurbishment works listed. I just wondered how much for each of these projects the phase 1 value is, and what how many phases it's split into, and what the elements of the subsequent phases are.
Thanks, Councillor Stewart. Scott, you might be better equipped just to go into that detail.
Thanks. We would need to provide. We can provide detail on that. I mean, I don't have that at my fingertips just now, but we can give. We can put down in like a sub-paper some kind of detail about what we've spent, what we've committed to spend, and what's left to commit. If that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, that would be great if you could get that round to the committee. Basically, that would be fantastic. Thank you. Councillor Shires, you have a question.
Thank you, Convener. I noticed under the progress update refers to and I know that this was an issue that was raised when I visited the school, the pupil toilet refurbishment. Is that all now complete? And should that mean that all the the issues that had been experienced in the past have been resolved now?
Councillor Shires, I suppose going back to Scott's kind of earlier point, yeah, I'll need to go through the specific details about the toilets. I wouldn't want to say all the toilets are complete because there could be ones that are maybe still to be done in later stages. So once we put that note around the committee, I can maybe pick that up with you direct, just about specific detail. Hopefully the toilets have been done and it's been dealt with, but I don't want to confirm that at this point, just in case there's still some other outstanding toilet, because there's a lot of toilets in the school.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. That would be really helpful because I know that was one of the issues that had been raised with us, so it would be helpful to have that clarified. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Okay, no further questions on that, so if we could move forward on to the grammar.
So Perth Grammar School, we have just over £7 million allocated to infrastructure upgrades and works within the site. We've obviously undertook the entrance and reception, which has been something that has been raised for a number of years. It's now been complete, and we are just working through with the school and the contractors about the refurbishments on site and starting with the toilet upgrades, because we're probably familiar with some issues about the toilets there as well. So we're working through that. We hope to start the toilets in January of next year.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Parrott, you have a question?
Thank you very much, Convener. Mr. Boland has answered certainly one part with regard to the time frame for starting the next phase, which if I heard him correctly, was January next year. Just a question, the budget is stated as originally having been 7.05 million. Is the budget still that amount, or is it greater, or hopefully not less? Thank you.
Councillor Parrott, yeah, I can confirm the budget is still that full amount which was allocated to Perth Grammar. I know there was 150,000 that was allocated for the reception stuff, and I know that's been spent. So the budget remains as it was. Obviously, as we're working through the project and programme of works, then obviously there's expenditure against that, but the budget still remains as it was.
Thank you for that, and I can certainly say that the entrance and the reception area have been very well received and have made a big difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Parrott. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. No further questions on that, so that brings us on to the high school.
Yeah, so Perth High School, we've probably touched on. So again, at Council on the 3rd of September, it was agreed to move forward with a passive house design for the school, and also to bid to the government. As I confirmed earlier, we've done that. So really that's just now projects just kind of moving forward, and probably nothing else to say, Convener.
No, thank you, Greg, for that. I don't think there's any questions coming in on that. So well, that moves us on to Rattray. Thank you.
So Rattray, which is going to be a kind of major refurbishment, is also included the nursery. We'll increase the nursery by 26 spaces, and we're spending more than what the government gave us towards ELC, so we're spending around about 4.325 million. We've undertaken some works on site externally with things like AstroTurf put outside in the courtyards. We've upgraded some classrooms, but the main works and for the school, obviously working with the head teacher and our staff about doing that in a live environment, they won't now start until Easter of next year, but it'll be a good investment for Rattray Primary School.
Excellent. Yeah, Councillor Shires, I'll come to you first. Thank you.
Sorry, I just have a comment on that, and it was just to say thank you very much to officers, because I know that the work that's being carried out already and the planned work, that's very much in response to the issues raised by the school community about how they wanted to see their school building develop for the future, have been much appreciated. So again, it's a thank you to officers for listening at the meetings along with myself to the concerns of the school community.
Thank you, Councillor Shires.
Thank you. No questions on that, so that brings us to the last one, St Ninians.
So last and not least, but St Ninians Primary School, we've added a nursery, which was part of the original school state review, to add the nursery to the school. We've done the reconfiguration infrastructure works to the value of just short of 1.6 million, and I'm pleased to confirm that became operational in August. So probably nothing else to say. Okay, thank you very much indeed, Greg, for that. There's a comment from Caroline, but I'm going to throw a comment in first before she gets in there. It's really just to say, look, I want to say in general, I think the amount of separate projects that we're doing, it really shows that Perth and Kinross Council and its officers are actively working at making sure the estate for education is the best that it can possibly be. There's a lot of projects going on, there's a lot of investment going in. I think it's lovely to see, and I'm incredibly impressed at the speed that every single one of these projects keeps coming forward. There's always been hiccups, and certainly COVID-19 has caused major problems this year to getting these finalised, but they're all progressing regardless of the amount of extra work the council has had to do. So I really just wanted to raise that and say well done to everybody. I hope I didn't sound too condescending, but a great thanks for the amount of effort and time that's been put into this, and we can really see that the investment is really going into our estate. We have a question or a comment from Caroline.
Hi, it was just to ask about I'm delighted to see this one get completed, but it was regarding the external space at the school, because I noticed when I drove past it one day, you end up sitting at the traffic lights, and there had been work done in the playground area, because it was quite a kind of, well, the local Andrew Parrott and Chris Ahern will know this more than me, but kind of just concrete playground. Was external works in the playground area, was that part of this project, or was that funded through other means? I'm not sure.
Councillor Shires, external works were done. I can't. In PKC is funded that. So I'm just trying to picture exactly. Is there still things outstanding in the playground, or?
I seem to think the last time I drove around that way that there was still sort of possibly a bit of sort of Harris fencing and stuff in the playground, and I just wondered if that was just tidying up after this, or if that was additional works that had been done. I certainly know that I was lobbied quite extensively by pupils about their desire to see something done with the external, so it was just out of pure curiosity if this was part of this project or if that's an additional one. Maybe somebody can get back to me afterwards if that's not.
I think Scott might come in, Councillor Shires. Scott, are you okay to come in there?
Yeah, Councillor Shire, there was some external works done during the October holidays, but I think, to be honest, I would need to get you a little schedule of what was done. But during the October holidays, we aimed to do some work when there was no children at school. So I'll get a detail of that for you.
That'd be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Parrott, your comment.
Yes, is it not perhaps, I'm aware that there was separate, if you like, work at St Ninians to do with the safety of a wall, if I remember correctly. Could the external works be something to do with that? Thank you.
Scott, Greg, I know that was a comment more than a question, but it was also a question. Could it be the works on the wall?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
That was an answer?
I was just trying to explain the things that were there.
No, so I think there is, if you remember, that there's Harris fencing at Balhousie along the sheds at Balhousie. I don't know if the two schools are not far from each other.
No, I'm not confusing the two. I'm sure there was something that at St Ninians as well, but yeah. Let it pass. It's not likely. No.
There wasn't any structural work done. It was more to do with the environs of the playgrounds.
Sure. Well, I think it's safe to say that there's work going on internally and externally at St Ninian's, funded by ourselves and by the main project, and it's all going on. So that's fantastic. Okay, there are no more questions or comments regarding this. So thank you very much indeed, Mr. Boland, for the update. And that actually concludes this part of the property sub. We're now going into a private session. So could I ask everyone to click out of this particular meeting and click into the next one, and we'll see you all there shortly. And thank you very much indeed.